You're home alone. It's late. The neighborhood is silent, wrapped in the kind of darkness that feels thicker than usual. Then suddenly, knock, knock, knock. A sharp rapping at the door breaks the stillness. You peek through the curtain. Two children stand on your porch. A boy and a girl, maybe 10 or 12 years old. Their clothes seem slightly outdated, as if from another era. They're oddly quiet, unnervingly polite. The boy lifts his face and speaks. "We need to call our mother. Please let us in." Seems harmless, right? Just kids needing help. But then they look up, and you see their eyes, entirely black. No whites, no pupils, just two inky voids that swallow the light. Your breath catches. A cold dread looms in your chest. You don't know why, but every fiber of your being screams, "Do not open that door." It's not fear you can explain. It's something deeper, primal, instinctive, like you're staring at something not meant to exist. This is how most stories of the black-eyed children begin. Strange kids knocking at the door at night, asking to come in. And if you let them in, no one really knows what happens next. The legend of the black-eyed children didn't come from some dusty ancient text or forgotten folktale. Instead, it began in the digital age, born from the shadows of a parking lot in Abilene, Texas in 1996. That night, journalist Brian Bethel was sitting in his car, writing a check before heading into a nearby building. It was late, quiet. Then came a knock on the driver's side window. Two boys stood outside. They were wearing hooded sweatshirts. One asked for a ride. They wanted to go see a movie but had left their money at home. Odd, but not alarming, at first. But then Bethel felt something deeply wrong. As they spoke, a strange fear gripped him. Irrational but overwhelming. And then he saw it. Their eyes were completely black. No sclera, no irises, just endless glossy black. The boys' tone shifted. They became insistent, saying, "We can't come in unless you say it's okay." Bethel sped off, heart pounding. He later shared his encounter on an internet message board, describing it as the most terrifying experience of his life. And that post? It went viral. People from all over the country began coming forward with similar stories. Strange children, jet black eyes, polite but chilling requests to be let in, and that same gut-deep terror. This was the beginning. Brian Bethel's account would become the foundation of one of the internet's most enduring and chilling urban legends, the black-eyed children. Since Brian Bethel's account first made its rounds online, hundreds of similar stories have emerged. And not just in Texas. Reports have surfaced across the United States, the UK, Australia, and even Scandinavia. Despite their scattered origins, these stories share uncanny similarities. The setting is often the same. It's late at night and the witness is alone, at home in a parked car or walking a quiet street. That's when the children appear. Sometimes it's a boy and a girl, other times two boys. They're typically between 6 and 16 years old, wearing clothes that seem off, either out of date or oddly formal, like church attire from decades past. Their skin is pale, their voices are flat, emotionless, and their request is always the same. "Can we come in? We need to call our parents. We're lost, just let us in." At first glance, they seem like ordinary children, but then they look up, and the illusion collapses. Their eyes are completely black. Witnesses describe a wave of paralysis, a heavy dread that rolls over them, sometimes even before the children speak. The kids remain strangely calm, but insistent, pressuring the person to let them inside. What happens next? Almost always, the person refuses, and the children vanish. No footsteps, no cars, Just gone. In a few chilling cases, those who opened the door or agreed to help reported extreme misfortune afterward, sudden illness, mysterious deaths in the family, or terrifying dreams. But these are just stories, right? Urban legend or not, the consistency of these encounters, across time, geography, and culture, is what elevates the black-eyed children beyond mere campfire tale. It's a modern myth that feels uncomfortably real. At the heart of the black-eyed children legend lies a psychological contradiction. Something meant to be comforting and harmless, a child, suddenly becomes a source of deep, primal fear. Why children? Because they're the last thing we expect to fear. A child knocking on your door triggers our instinct to help, not to run. The legend exploits that kindness, presenting a vulnerable figure in distress, then turning it inside out with one horrifying detail. Those pitch-black eyes and a sense of something not quite human. This dissonance, the gap between appearance and intent, is what makes these entities so disturbing. Folklorists point out that the evil child archetype exists in cultures around the world, from changelings in European tales to possessed or ghostly children in Asian legends. They represent deceit cloaked in innocence. In modern times, horror films have leaned heavily into this trope. Think of characters like Damien in The Omen or the twins in The Shining. But the black-eyed children are different. They come to you. They ask to be let in. They don't chase you. They wait. And they ask. That slow escalation, the polite request, the growing insistence, and the rising tension adds a psychological horror rarely seen in monster stories. It's not about gore or jump scares. It's about being manipulated into your own doom. It also reflects a modern anxiety. What if our instincts to help make us vulnerable? What if evil doesn't kick down the door, but knocks gently and waits for permission? There's one detail that appears again and again in black-eyed children's stories, and it may be the most chilling of all. They can't come in unless you invite them. No matter how much they plead, no matter how close they stand to the threshold, they always wait for permission. Witnesses report the children growing more agitated when denied, their polite tone giving way to eerie insistence. We can't come in unless you say it's okay. Please, we need to come inside. It's a rule ripped from ancient legends. Vampires, demons, even certain fey creatures, all bound by the invitation. Cross that line and something irreversible happens. But with the black-eyed children, there's a terrifying twist. No one really knows what happens if you say yes. There are whispered tales. A man who let them in and suffered hallucinations for weeks. A woman who vanished after letting them borrow a phone. A family whose home was plagued by illness and electrical failures after giving the children shelter. But these accounts are always second-hand, passed along through forums, podcasts, Reddit threads. Anecdotal, fragmented, like folklore in real time. That's what makes it so effective. Because uncertainty is its own kind of horror. It forces you to imagine the worst. What would you do if they came to your door? Would you open it or freeze, heart pounding as they wait outside, inhuman eyes watching? So what exactly are the black-eyed children? Even among those who believe the stories, the theories vary wildly, from the supernatural to the psychological, from ancient folklore to modern invention. Paranormal beings? Some believe these entities are ghosts, possibly the spirits of children who died tragically and now wander, twisted by grief and rage. Others suggest they're demons in disguise, wearing a child's skin to gain sympathy. Their all-black eyes, devoid of soul or emotion, are often cited as a demonic trait. Then there's the alien theory. Could they be extraterrestrials trying, and failing, to mimic human behavior? Their monotone speech, unnatural stillness, and psychic dread they instill all echo themes from UFO lore, especially the mysterious Men in Black. Folkloric roots. Dig deeper and you'll find older cultural myths that echo similar themes. Some Native American stories speak of spirit children who lure humans into danger. European folklore warns of changeling children, eerie replacements left behind by supernatural forces. These stories reflect a universal anxiety, children who aren't what they seem. Modern myth, skeptics, of course, offer more grounded explanations. Many point to Brian Bethel's 1996 story, the first known account, as a creative work of online fiction that took on a life of its own. The explosion of the internet in the late 90s provided fertile ground for urban legends to spread like wildfire. Black-eyed kids became the perfect viral horror, simple, repeatable, and easy to picture. Others argue it could be a mix of mass suggestion and misinterpretation. Someone sees a kid in the dark wearing black contacts, and the mind fills in the blanks. Fear has a way of exaggerating details. Still, even if the legend was born from fiction, something about it sticks, maybe because it taps into something deeper. The fear of being fooled by innocence, of offering kindness to something that doesn't deserve it. Or maybe because, deep down, we all wonder what might happen if we ever let them in. Since the 90s, the black-eyed children have refused to fade away. In fact, they've only grown more powerful. Not in the literal sense, perhaps, but as a cultural force in modern horror storytelling. They've become a staple of creepypasta forums, paranormal YouTube channels, and late-night Reddit rabbit holes. Spreading through the internet, Brian Bethel's original post acted like a spark in dry grass. Within weeks, new stories emerged from people claiming similar encounters, always eerily similar in pattern, yet scattered across the globe. Message boards lit up with tales, children knocking on windows in the middle of nowhere, strange figures seen under flickering streetlights, drivers stopping for kids in trouble on back roads, only to flee in terror. These weren't formal reports. They were personal confessions, raw and immediate. Whether true or not, they had the ring of experience, which made them perfect for viral sharing. Halloween and horror shows. Every October, new stories surface. Costume shops sell black contact lenses so anyone can become a black-eyed child for the night. Podcasts and ghost hunting shows do yearly rundowns of the legend. TV series like Monsters and Mysteries in America and Paranormal Witness have dramatized encounters. The story's longevity proves one thing. It works. The image is iconic. The feeling is primal. Scholars and folklorists weigh in. Even academics have taken notice. In articles featured on sites like Atlas Obscura, folklorists point out how this legend plays into an ancient narrative device, the corrupted innocent. It's a story designed to unsettle our most basic instincts, protect the weak, help a child in need. But what if helping invites something terrible? The black-eyed children legend has endured not because of elaborate backstories or deep mythology, but because of its terrifying simplicity. Two children, a knock at your door, a request to be let in, and eyes that are nothing but black. Fear wrapped in innocence. Children are universally seen as symbols of innocence. They trigger our protective instincts. We're conditioned to help them. That's what makes this legend so powerful. It flips that instinct. It weaponizes empathy. The very thing that makes us human becomes the gateway to danger. Imagine the hesitation. You want to help, but something feels wrong. That emotional conflict is where fear thrives. A story built for the internet age. This isn't a legend tied to one region or culture. It was born online and built for digital transmission. Short, chilling stories, easy to repost, impossible to forget. In a world where people spend more time behind screens than around campfires, this myth has adapted perfectly. It's become the modern ghost story, passed not through generations, but through hyperlinks. The question that lingers: nobody knows what happens if you let them in. That's the genius of it, the unknown consequence. The dread comes not from what has happened, but from what might. And that's why the black-eyed children remain with us. They don't need to exist physically to haunt you. They live in the space between fear and curiosity, in the moment after the knock, when you check the peephole and wonder, would you open the door?